Welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm going to speak about the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar and been happening to them and what's still happening to them and what the UN has been saying and what they can do to make sure that the Rohingyans can go back to Myanmar if they want, and the people who are already there that they can live without fearing for their safety and having their rights intact. So now I'm going to read a little bit from an article and then talk about the UN and then carry on reading. Since August 2017, more than 700,000 Rohingya refugees from Myanmar have fled to Bangladesh. The Rohingya refugee crisis is amongst the largest, fastest growing movements of people in recent history. The Rohingya, a mostly Muslim minority ethnic group in mostly Buddhist Myanmar, are escaping what the United Nations has described as genocidal violence that follows decades of persecution and human rights abuses. Flooding into Cox's Bazar district in Bangladesh, the refugees joined more than 200,000 Rohingya refugees who have fled years before. First, I'd like to draw a similarity to other countries like in China. Again, in China, the Uyghurs, and here the Rohingyans, they're both the ethnic minorities. They're both Muslims and they're both being persecuted and tortured. I hope you understand the pattern and the fact that the UN is saying all of this and reporting it. Then I'd say they need to play a bigger role and help the people from Bangladesh go back to Myanmar if they want to, or the people who are already there, the Rohingyas in Myanmar. They need to make sure that their safety is protected and they don't need to and they're not in fear and that their human rights are adhered to. In August 2018, a study estimated that more than 24,000 Rohingya people were killed by the Burmese military and local Buddhists since the clearance operation started on 25 August 2017. The study also estimated that over 18,000 Rohingya Muslim women and girls were raped, 116,000 Rohingyans were beaten, and 36,000 Rohingyans were thrown into fires. It is also reported that at least over 6,000 Rohingyans, including 730 children, were killed in the first month alone. The majority of them died from gunshots, while others were burned to death in their homes. The sources described their killings as violent deaths. There were also reports of mass killings of Rohingyans by the military and Buddhist vigilantes in the Chot Pin village. Now, first, I want to say that the military, similar to other countries, they're just making, letting the power get to the head and doing what they feel like without being accountable. And this is why so many people are dying. And especially because no one's holding the military accountable, they're carrying on, and people are dying, like in other countries as well. I won't name the country, but in that country, the military can do what they want to the ethnic minorities, and that's why a lot of people die in that country, and that's what's happening over here. So I thought they would have learned lessons from that country and prevented it from happening here. But clearly, the UN isn't really taking a lead. They need to do more to ensure that the Rohingyans in Myanmar can live safely, peacefully, practice their religion, and live without fearing for their lives. Chris Lua, director of the Archon project, stated that they had received reports of 130 being killed in the Chot Pin village. On 7 September 2017, The Guardian reported a mass killing of Rohingyans in the Chula Toli village and called it the Chula Toli massacre. According to the Archon project, evidence of likely mass graves was uncovered, including timestamp mobile phone metadata indicating a 27th August date. So not only did were the Rohingyans tortured, raped, beaten, and set on fire, and then they died. Then once they died, they were in mass graves and they were stamped on, and that shows that even once they've tortured, tortured them to the maximum, and then they've died as a result, they still continue to disregard them, and the fact that it's been we've only realized now, and that the date was estimated to be 27th August, shows how long they've been in those graves for. In February 2018, Reuters reported a massacre event which occurred in the Indian village on 2 September 2017. The event is known as the Indian Massacre. 10 Rohingya men, all of whom were captured from the Rohingya village of Indin, were killed by the members of the Burmese army and the Buddhist villagers who formed an informal militia to attack Rohingya villages. The victims were taken from hundreds of Rohingya villagers who gathered near a beach to seek safety. Now, recently, you can see what they've done. That was just the end of it. So you've seen how they're being treated and how they're being tortured, raped, and killed. And now, I'd just like to say that, in the article, it said a lot of the Buddhists and Buddhist and one second. The Buddhists and the going to the Occam project and the Burmese were the ones carrying out these killings and tortures. So from the last 20 years, especially after 9/11, a lot of anything that Muslims do that's violence or terrorism is rightly they're called terrorists and they're put in jails and etc. But when it comes to other people from other faiths or other ethnicities that do similar things, they're not labeled as terrorists. Why isn't that the case? These Burmese people and these Buddhists should be labeled as terrorists and put in jail. I'm not saying Buddhists and Burmese are terrorists. I'm saying those people who did it, they should be labeled as terrorists and put in jail, because the Burmese people and the Buddhist religion, they've got nothing to do with it. It's the people carrying it out. So, and I feel the like Buddhist priests or their preachers should uh, um, speak out against those killings and show them how their religion teaches peace and how they shouldn't be killing people. That would resolve a lot of things. And in similar cases where Muslims are being told to condemn the attacks or speak out against the attacks and say how it's wrong, I feel the Buddhist community need to speak out and say it's wrong and educate their people, so no one gets influenced to do similar things, because Buddhism as a whole is seen as a good light, but just a few that are tarnishing the name. In similar, like in Muslim community, a few Muslims are tarnishing the name of Islam. But then we speak out against it. So I feel the Buddhists need to speak out against it as well.